I'm Corinne.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian.
And this is Victory. And again, we're living with Victory. And last video, we introduced ourselves a little bit, very quickly and very shortly. So if you didn't see that, definitely scroll down and find it so you can kind of get to know us. But today we're going to talk about just her diagnosis, a very short and quick version of what she has going on. And hopefully you can learn a little something because I know I never heard of it before Victory. So.
Yeah, and if you're not on a computer and you're on a phone, instead of scrolling, you swipe. Just an FYI.
Mm-hmm.
So you can scroll down or swipe up.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's true.
Or make sure, either way, make sure you find the first video that we did. And this one is about her diagnosis, which is called Trisomy 13, aka.
Oh yeah, Patau Syndrome.
That was her part.
No way.
Patau, kind of like kapow, but Patau.
Yes.
Patau.
Au.
Patau.
I think we're saying it right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that just basically means that Victory has an extra chromosome, 13.
On the 13th.
On the 13th chromosome.
A third chromosome on the 13th chromosome.
Yes. And generally, more often than not, this type of diagnosis or illness, however you want to call it, it generally affects facial features, it affects her brain, her heart, it affects her internal organs, and believe it or not, this particular diagnosis actually occurs in 1 out of every 10 to 20,000 live births.
Yeah.
And going back as far as you can find, the old statistics say that only 5% of children that are born with this diagnosis survive. But
that's not necessarily true.
It's not completely accurate,
Right.
Because what they do is they only take the statistics of the children that have this diagnosis that don't survive based off of either lack of intervention, lack of knowledge, either on the part of the family or on the part of the doctors or both. But in either case, when those two things are taken into consideration, that's where they come up with the 5%. However, with the intervention involved, almost, I don't want to say all the time, but in most cases, whenever there's intervention, like in Victory's case, the children do survive.
Yeah, like it's a lot of the times parents are told, and thankfully this is changing. It literally, like last month, the American Academy of Pediatrics, I think, came out and said that trisomy 13 and trisomy 18 should no longer be called incompatible with life, because they are compatible with life, especially if you give the interventions. Like if you don't take care of them, obviously they're gonna not do well. But if she needs extra oxygen, you withhold oxygen, obviously she's not gonna do well. If she needs help eating for ever, or even just for a short amount of time, they're not going to do well. So you have to help them. And so thankfully it's changing, but for a long time doctors would say your baby's incompatible with life, she will not survive, you should abort it. Or if you have the baby, they'll only give comfort care, get the baby comfortable, and you can hold the baby as they pass away. And we'll talk more about our personal experience with it probably later, so it doesn't get too much of a long video. But when they only do comfort care or abort, then less than 5% survive. But if you are given all of the information and they do the tests and they do the full interventions that are needed, the baby or the child can, in many cases, do a lot better. It doesn't mean all cases, because there are some children, sadly, that if you give them all the intervention you possibly could, they still may not survive, and that's really sad, but it's changing, and hopefully the more people hear about this, and they can realize that they can give their child a chance and give them the interventions.
And there's so many children around the world that are stuck in hospitals that automatically write these children off just because of that diagnosis. And there's been so many that I've come across that I've actually tried to help get transferred to Boston Children's Hospital, where Victory was treated, because they're the ones that saved her life, and they won't just write these children off based on their diagnosis. They'll fight for them, and they'll give them all life-saving intervention. And that's what they did for Victory. And now Victory is living with Victory because of that. And so
are we.
That's also one of the reasons why we want to do these videos, and we want to do the podcast, or we want to make a blog and start all this stuff, is because we want to be able to shed as much light on her diagnosis as possible, so that people in the future and children in the future, when they are born with this diagnosis, they have things like our videos and our podcasts and all the information that we put out there, and other families like us that put stuff out there as well. They have all this information to go back on and see that once the intervention is applied and is available, it makes a huge difference. It actually saves lives, rather than going just by old statistics and seeing that only 5% survive. The more information they have, the better.
I'm not even in the
He's not even there.
So our camera, no, you're not in it.
I'm in it now.
Okay.
There you go.
There we are.
All right.
So the camera, I have too much stuff on my phone, so it said no more memories, so we had to finish. So we're gonna splice this part. So I know we said no splicing, but this is an exception to the rule. Basically we're finishing out talking. I think we're pretty much done. But thank you for tuning in to hearing about Trisomy 13. And it's just, again, like, we're gonna come back and talk about our personal experience with it, because we have a lot of things that happened during our story. And again, we might have different views than a lot of other people too, and we'll just share our views, and you can either agree or disagree, but it's gonna be a safe place to talk about those things. And
And I really feel like I wish that this type of stuff was out there when we were going through it, because as a medical dad, I feel like there's a lot less support for medical fathers, or just fathers in general, that I feel like it's very hard to go through something like this without any type of support. So if there's any medical dads out there, or just any dads in general that feel like they're kind of getting the short end of the stick, or there's not as much support, there's not as much encouragement or anything like that, I want this to be for you as well. Just because if there was something like that out there for me when I was going through it, I know it would have been a tremendous help and a blessing to me while we were going through what we went through with Victory too. And I just wanted to just share this really quick with you too. In the Bible, Psalms 73 verse 26 says this, and I feel like it's extremely appropriate to what we're talking about. It says, "My health may fail, and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever."
Yeah.
So even though Victory's health may fail, so to speak, God remains the strength of her heart, and her heart is one of the things that this diagnosis or this illness affects. And so I think that's very appropriate, because no matter what happens with her health or her heart, God remains the strength of her body, of her heart, of her health. And He is all of ours forever. So just be encouraged with that, because I felt like that just really kind of fit in with everything that we were talking about.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. That brings tears to my eyes because I have to section her, but I mean, it's true. Like, no matter what happens, like the good or the bad, like God never promised us the easy, perfect life. He said, in this world we're going to have trouble, but be of good cheer because He's overcome the world. And so regardless of what happens physically to our bodies and to her body and our bodies, we know that we have eternity and eternal life if we know Him and we trust Him and we follow Him. So it's definitely a really nice way to end it. So.
I say all that to say, the part that talks about God remaining the strength of my heart, that's especially true for us, because Victory, at 6 months old, had open heart surgery, and she was born, well, I don't know if she was born with it, but she had pulmonary hypertension, she had heart arrhythmia, and just recently she had a very big scare because she ended up having fluid around her heart, and that ended up in that put us in the hospital for close to a month, getting her recovered from that. So that part hits especially deep for us, and that's why that's just a special verse for us, but also for what we're talking about in general too.
Yeah, definitely.
So my health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. Psalm 73, verse 26.
All right, we'll definitely come back because we're going to talk more about personal stuff and even more things about victory and living a life of victory, and hopefully eventually we'll get into more advice and more encouragement. That was definitely encouraging. So we'll just get more into that type of stuff. So we'll talk to you guys later, and definitely like and share.
Yeah, we're going to give you all the goods, all the behind the scenes, deleted scenes, never before scenes, hospital stays, you know,
So,
anything and everything. Medical, spiritual, physical, you got it. We're here for it.
all right, bye everyone.
Love you.